Hey guys, and welcome back to the channel. We are doing our first official build, so there's going to be a quick review on it, and we're going to go through the build as well as how it plays and how it works. Obviously you can have a look at the performance yourself. This is a starter build, it's not an in-game build, it's not a crazy build. And in short, we're making use of fire bolts, converting it over to cold damage, and that's how we're gonna do it. So on screen here we can see how firebolt works. You shoot out a single bolt, it hits on impact and then it spreads in a nova. So that makes for some nice spread across the screen. We've got some simple gems. Basically you don't need a 4-link, 3-link is more than enough. You need 3 basic ones. The first one is scatter shot, the second one is unleash, and the third one is wild shards. And then for the fourth one, what I chucked in here is just some controlled destruction. That's just for a use right now, otherwise I've got an empty support socket. But obviously at a later stage we'll be making use of crit, as it's really strong. But for now this is a beginner build, so not a lot of investment. So we're not going to worry about that. First up, we're making use of the blue flame braces. Basically converts 100% of your fire damage over to cold damage. Just a little bit of a mental note here, that means it doesn't work like PoE 1. So your fire damage doesn't stack. There you can see a quick display of our defenses. Got 1800 mana, 2900 energy shield, and 1200 life. So we're not too bad. And then all of the gear we got is some basic gear we picked up. This is literally just out of Act 3 Cruel. Here we can see the defenses, 75 all around. Unfortunately no block chance or armor or evasion, but we are making use of Mind Over Matter, so that doesn't really count at the moment. So just one thing to note, Mind Over Matter is a bitch because of the fact that it destroys your mana regen, and it's going to be really difficult to get all of that regen back. A couple of ways how we can fix that, but just so that you know, you are going to be struggling with it. Obviously at a later stage it would be great to have multiple defenses like block and evasion, but we'll look at that a bit further down the line. So right now this is just for a starter, just to get you going, get you into mapping, and it is really strong. Obviously a more popular contender right now is Spark, but with that being said, Spark doesn't really, it's really ruthless. It's either destroying the enemies or getting you destroyed. That's why I'm moving away. And then just one little thing, the most expensive part of this bolt is literally the snake pit pole ring that we're using here. And what this basically does is, on impact, when it splits into the nova, it allows a additional projectile for each one of those small ones, which effectively doubles your DPS. You'll see a bit later in the video. We'll just run a couple of tests so that you can see exactly how that works. Please note the ring has got 2 functions, left slot, right slot. Please make sure that you set it up correctly. Do not use the chaining, you will end up causing a lot of issues for yourself, as well as losing a lot of damage. We are on the skill tree. This is currently where we are. It's level 75. As you can see, the majority of our points are mainly focused on areas with increased elemental damage compared to a specific damage type. This just helps because we're making use of more than one element here. You'll see in a moment. So yeah, for now you can see we've got Frostwall, which is basically our bread and butter combined with Firebolt, and then we've got a Frost Bomb. You're mainly going to use this just to finish off uniques, rares and bosses, just that last little bit of DPS, just drop it below them while they're frozen. Obviously we're making use of Archmage since we're mana stacking, and just synchronizes well with the build. And of course a cast on freeze with a comet setup. So yeah, back at the tree, if you want to know how you are going to spread out, so you're going to obviously start at the lower end, first grab the left side of the tree, and then go to the right, then go straight up. Sorry, grab those defenses, and then obviously come to the left, just grab additional defenses and some exposure. Exposure is really strong. As you'll notice, currently I do not have exposure supporting one of the gems, which is actually supposed to be there. You can obviously swap that out with controlled destruction, as it'll be much better. Mainly these nodes that we are focusing on is all for mana regen. Additionally, with the patient barrier, please make use of this node compared to the node just a little bit down to the right where the mana nodes are. It's going to be much better. We obviously want to grab some faster startup energy shield, as patient barrier does give you delay on that. You can't be running around for 4 seconds, especially in boss fights if it's got AoE on the ground. It's going to be very difficult. We'll obviously be flushing in additional skill points as we level. This is something that we are looking at, but for now we're staying away from it. And then just a quick review here on the wand. This is gonna bind in quite nicely to the rest of it. It's just a basic 70% increased spell damage with +3 to all levels. If you can, go for around about there. But yeah, all of the gear that you see here is literally level 60, 62, 63 gear. This is end of Act 3 type of gear, right? You just got out of Act 3. So, here's the map that we're going to be doing. We are just going to move over here, rather. So, we are going to be talking to you. Oops, that's the tier 8 map. We don't want to use that one. Tier 7, there we go. We're currently level 75, so we're going to go into Decay, which is obviously a bit more of a difficult map because you have a lot of types of damage that you're dealing with here. Especially poison, which obviously deals double damage to your energy shield. So yeah, just note, you are not a tanky character, okay? You're not a tanky character. You'll never be a tanky character. You've got enough tank just to survive 1 or 2 hits. So you're gonna do a slow play style, put down the frost wall, and this will obviously be your target to detonate your firebolt. Enemies will attack it, and then you shoot the frost wall, and that'll detonate your frostbolt or your firebolts and clear the screen for you. As you can see here, this is a really good example where you've got no extra or additional projectiles being fired, but it's really important you put down that frost wall to make sure it scatters, so you can basically have that shotgun effect. So let's have a look here, see if we can quickly just run around. This is the nice screen wipe I was talking about. It's basically a shotgun effect with the wild shots, and then obviously the quality also on your firebolt gem. It gives you a 20% chance or 10% chance to fire an additional 2 projectiles. So just have a look at that. Once you get to end game and you've got like a 6-link gem and fully qualityed, then you might actually be wanting to invest a bit more points into projectiles instead of increased damage. So as you can see how the setup works and how it's abusing, you are triggering wild shots actually quite often. You'll notice, especially on your mapping experience, I'd say, you know, average of at least once every 5 shots. But generally, just focus on your playstyle. Just be aware of where your positioning is, as well as the positioning of the enemies. You want to make sure there's a frost wall between you and them, and then obviously just pop them or shotgun them using your firebolt skill. I do apologize for a little bit of delay there. My PC is not exactly the best, and it's a little bit flashy with the amount of projectiles we've got on screen. So let's see if we can actually just find a unique here. We haven't found one as of yet. If we did, we shotgunned the one, but I don't think that was a unique. There you can actually see the cost on freeze coming down with the spell echo. It's really nice when you're bossing and you just need some additional DPS filler there. Just remember, there's a little bit of a bug with the frost wall. Sometimes when you press to put it down, it does not put down, and unfortunately firebolt, if you're just gonna shoot it straight into the enemies, it's not gonna have that nice shotgun effect. What's gonna end up happening is just gonna split off the enemy, and it's just gonna run right past them, and it's gonna detonate way in the back where it doesn't help anyone. So don't panic, don't get too crazy, just follow the steps. Put down your frost wall, make some distance between you and the mobs so that you don't get one shot, and then obviously pop your firebolt onto the frost wall to get that nice scatter and shotgun effect. Here we can see them popping a couple of times. See if we can find this unique. Think we're getting close. Unfortunately, I just went full lesbian there for a second. Try to face tank everything. See if we can just fix. That's a nice thing. We've got burning ground, and obviously you don't generate flat energy shield. Energy shield only regenerates after 4 seconds of not taking damage without any sort of modifiers, which we have, so it's going to be longer for us. So there we could see the Mind Over Matter putting in some work. Right, let's see if we can clear out these. Where are we going to find a rare? Oh, again, just face tanking everything, because obviously, you know, doing a voiceover while playing is not recommended. See if we can find something here. Okay, I think we are just gonna quickly shotgun everything here and just clear out this area. And the reason we're doing this is we would like to get a unique or a rare, mob completely isolated so we can see the full effect of the shotgun. Look, you don't have any pierce on this, so obviously if there is a mob between you and the main target, it's obviously gonna shotgun whatever's first or in its way. Right, whoops, almost got myself murdered there again. Again, running around with energy shield, completely relying upon my Mind Over Matter to keep me safe here. See if I can just quickly find a spot. There we go, started regening. Okay, now I can move forward. No, it's not a unique mob. Let's see if we can find one. I think I see one down here. If you don't know, on the map, there we go, there's the unique. If you don't know, on the map, as you can see, just to the right of the screen, it might be a little bit difficult, you see that little yellow skull? That's where we want to be. Okay, let's see if we can make our way through this maze without getting killed. Still haven't regen energy shield, so we're still going off whatever's left from the previous fight. Making some good use of the dodge roll mechanics here. Again, just using frost wall and firebolt with the stacked unleash just to quickly shotgun the screen. Here you can see how little to no effect that has on a small pack of people without the frost wall. And again, you put the frost wall down and the projectiles start flying and you start one-shotting. Oops. Got myself stuck there in a corner. Well done. Almost murdered myself. That's great. Doing a bold review. So of course what you want to do is play in such a manner that you end up dying, because that's great for your review. Getting poisoned because again, face tanking everything. Okay, I really need to move my ass out of this corner. Don't know what I was thinking there. It's probably the problem. I think it was a lack thereof. Let's quickly shotgun these out. Okay, there's a couple of more. So difficult to see where everything is. This okay, I don't know why all the projectiles just ignored this guy. Yeah, there you can see the first hit went through. Okay, there we go. Got a nice little shotgun effect there. Yeah, there we go. That's a nice clean wipe. So we can murder this hag. No, it's literally what they're called. Okay, no, the unique is still there. It's isolated and alone. Okay, here it comes. Right, there you can see full health. Okay, there's the energy shield is gone. That's 2 shots. That's 3 shots. 4 shots and done. So, if we have a look at the map modifiers here, it took about 4 shots, maybe 5 if I missed one, to clear out that unique there. And obviously, as you know, uniques are far more dangerous than the boss itself, which is kind of ironic at the moment. And we've got a 40% elemental resistance. We are not exposing at the moment, really. I think Frostbomb's got a innate exposure that it applies, but it did not use it there. So that's the type of DPS you can expect with plus 42 elemental resistances. So yeah, I think that's a pretty good negative modifier just to showcase. And we don't have penetration yet because we're only level 75, and we've been basically just stacking defenses mostly. We're only now starting to get into our final damage. Let's quickly just clear out the rest here. Might be good for us. Yeah, I think let's quickly just clear out all of these mobs. And then what we do is we're going to quickly head over here to the top, I think. There was a nice little area where we can quickly remove some of the support gems and just give you an idea and a feel of how the build interacts and what it's doing. So let's quickly do this. Okay, let's find the rest of the people, see if we can get it to under the more than 50 modifier. At least it's really important, especially with mapping. Just a side note here, please take your time, clear the maps. Those waystones drop from all types of mobs, usually the white mobs, so it does actually drop with the uniques as well. But if you got some rarity, then you're gonna see less of those drops from them. You're gonna see it more from the white mobs in general, but my experience, but it's chance, so your experience might be very different. However, the point still remains, take your time, clear the map. Oof, and that's a lovely trigger that we just had there. You could see the build in its full glory, and like I said, if you there again, it triggered all, just take all those extra projectiles. You'll notice that you trigger the wild shots like quite often. I think it might be an interaction between Unleashed and the quality of the gem as well, I guess, because we're getting way more than 20% chance here. So let's have a look here. Okay, all the monsters are dead. So we're gonna do a quick look here on how this interacts. Okay, so just a quick side note here. If you need some additional damage and you're struggling, these Shape of Storms is what we want to take. And we're currently filling out the top left side of the nodes. And then you can, again, just a quick reference on how tanky we are with our energy shield. All the bases are energy shield based. We're not using any sort of armor energy crossover. Just focus on all of it. Just get as much energy shield as you can. Yeah, you can see the gear is low level. It's nothing end game. In fact, I wouldn't even call this really mapping gear, except for the wand. The wand is okay, but what you just basically need to focus on here is the increased spell damage, and then plus to level up all spell skill gems. That's what you want. Obviously, the maximum mana, if you can, push that into the gear wherever you can, and then a little bit of gain mana or whatever on the wand would be great per enemy killed. Right here, so we're just gonna go back here. As you can see, we are currently focusing on this is one of the nodes that you want to grab, because you do shock and lightning, and we are focusing on ailments. So as long as you shock somebody recently, you get 30% increased ailment damage, and all the surrounding nodes are for increased elemental damage. And then up top here we're abusing our mana, which synchronizes with Mind Over Matter as well as the Archmage. And we're getting 3% increase per 100 maximum mana. So we've got a 40, almost 50% additional spell damage there, which works out quite nicely. And then obviously, since we are stacking intelligence for the mana, we'll be eventually at the end of the higher end, when you get to level 80, 90, you'll be taking pure power just to stack some additional lightning damage. It's really gonna take the build to the next level, so you can really get to that one-shotting stage. Just a little bit of a side note again, please remember the conversion does not work the same as it does with PoE 1, so it doesn't first take the fire damage and then converts that damage on hit. It converts it from base level. Right, so you can see the majority of our nodes that we are focusing on are increased elemental damage, like I said. It's just here and there we're taking specialized nodes. Obviously at the later stage we do want to be dropping the gloves. And then you can see again additional fire damage, but this is one of the things we really want to take, because you gain 25% of your cold damage as extra fire damage, so that would be nice. But what makes this build strong, and what is the final thing, we can get it right now, which will basically almost triple it, is Heavy Frost. Heavy Frost is amazing because the moment you freeze the enemies, you completely ignore all non-negative elemental resistance. So anything above 0, but if it's got a negative resistance, it still takes it into calculation, which is fantastic. Now, this is not just for cold or fire or lightning, it's for all of them. It is for all. So if you can run any sort of triple elemental, you get that for all of them. So if you ignite, if you shock, if you electrocute, if you freeze, all of them will benefit from that node. So we actually might just anoint this. Might be worthwhile to try and anoint this as soon as possible, as you don't really need much details or much higher gear than what you got right now just to get into mapping. I mean, this is already a tier 7 map. And you can easily push this to 8, 9, maybe 10 even, as is, without additional ascendancies. But something to look out for is you could run a different setup where you just drop the constant gale as well as force of will, and just grab the two in the middle, shape of storms and shape of winter. But of course it all depends, because Arcane Surge is pretty big. It gives you 20% more mana regen, and that helps quite a lot, especially if you stack the effect of Arcane Surge, plus obviously the smaller nodes give you 4%. But yeah, once you get to endgame gear, you'll have enough mana regen on there. And then if you're struggling with survivability, Heart of Storms is something I would recommend for your first ascendancy or your third ascendancy. But as soon as you can, grab Shape of Storms, because two things: A, this allows you to build up Electrocute with all types of damage, and you actually have the opportunity to shock people twice. And here we can see Mind Over Matter simply works. All damage is taken from mana before life pool. So you got your energy shield that gets depleted, and then they start taking all of your mana that gets depleted, and then only does it start draining your life. But obviously the price to pay here is you have 50% less mana recovery, and that's a bit of a doozy. It's rough. So if you're struggling with your mana regen, we do recommend you just stay with the first two ascendancies we showed on screen here. It will really help you, and it's important. Don't take Mind Over Matter too early, otherwise your build's gonna feel very sluggish and almost have no TPS, as every hit during the campaign is gonna basically fully drain your mana. So right, basically we're stacking some flat damage, and then we're just focusing on increasing the overall effect of what we have. So increase exposure and things like that. And we're just starting here at the beginning. It's a great idea just to run these couple of nodes. That's also really great because it gives you increased shock magnitude. Again, just focusing on improving on what we have. And then this little triangle there, that's also again what we use to increase our chances to shock, freeze and ignite, as well as just increase our overall exposure. And you can see a quick DPS comparison. There's the cold damage and there's the lightning damage, and at this stage it would seem the lightning damage is slightly outperforming our cold damage. So it's very worthwhile to invest in these multitudes of places just to grab whatever efficient damage you can. This way around, you don't have to, you can grab all the big nodes and you don't have to grab the smaller nodes and basically be losing out on a lot of DPS because people are very single-mindedly focused on it. So just a little interesting thing here that's worthwhile to mention. If you look at things like Spark, oh, there's the rarity. Just a quick side note here again. I don't know if I've said it, I'll say it before. Or I'll say again, rarity is important. If you don't grab it, you are trolling. Get whatever you can, but a good number would be around about 70. Right. The nice thing about Firebolt is that those Novas, they lose about 30% of the overall damage compared to Shock, where you lose the minimum of half. Okay, so let's quickly set up here. So here you can see how the bolt interacts and how everything works together, right? Obviously with wild shots, you'll have that little circle that fires out. This is a normal hit. And just to do a bit of a comparison on how this interacts with all the items and the snake pit, so you can see clearly how it works. We are going to do a bit of a demonstration here. If you have enemies that you can't reach, it's better just to put the frost wall around you and then hit that frost wall instead of trying to put it there, but obviously putting yourself in danger. Right, so quick look here at Snake Pit, the Pearl Ring. This is literally the most expensive item you're going to have for this build. I think it's about 1 divine at the moment. This is insane, and what this does is, okay, so there's the explosion hit, but here's what we're mainly focusing on. There's your main DPS, and there is the secondary fire bolts that little Nova does. There's a 30% DPS difference, where Shock has a 50% DPS difference once it gets through the first enemy. So you don't lose as much as your initial damage after the Nova, and this is what makes it really great. And obviously you don't have to spam it because there's quite a lot. So what we're going to do is we're just going to quickly take off the snake pit just so that you can see how much less DPS or projectiles you get. And obviously this will get 3 wild shot procs in a row. There you can see how it is. I'm not sure if that is too clear. Just gonna put the fire bolts back here so you can see them. Okay, so just to note here, after they detonate the first time, then they are not gonna detonate a second time, right? So if you have your first one, then they detonate and then they hit, they don't detonate again. They don't ricochet, they don't bounce, right? They only bounce from the initial hit. And I think how we can make this a bit clearer, just so that you can see the vast difference between the two. Without wild shots proccing, of course. It's a little bit hard to see, but you have double the amount of small projectiles that spawn. So how can we show this in a better way? I've got an idea, yeah. Okay, let's do this. Why do you have still multiple going? Oh yeah, unleash, yeah. Okay, let's take out the wild shots, yeah. Okay, here you can see the normal explosion. Just remember, the quality on the gem gives the chance to spawn an additional 2 projectiles. So you fire 3, as you saw there. It looked like it was the same as it was with Scattershot. Mine is at 16%, I think. Corrupted, unfortunately, so I can't make it a full 20% quality. I was gonna pop this back in, and obviously now it's not showing as clearly. Why is it not? Oh, it's filling in. There we go. So the little pizza slices where it's spreading is a bit better, but yeah, we should be able to see it a bit better. So can you see that it's currently what it's doing? Still can't believe 8%, and we hit it twice. So we're just gonna, yeah, I think it's just better maybe if we do it here. I think I maybe need to just do it on the frost wall. Let me just try here a couple of times. The problem is it explodes on the tree, so you don't see all of it. I'm trying to find a nice little hitbox to show you how it fans out and where the extra projectiles are, but I'm not having a lot of success, so maybe I'll just have to do the frost wall here. Okay, so there you can see. Okay, you can see nicely now. Just destroy this a bit, so you see the single file that it's shooting there. Okay, that's a nice little star there. Let's add this here, and there you got the double. Okay, you see that? Let's do it again here quickly. There you can see the double, and there's the single. And obviously it despawns before we can do the final one. Let me just take out, I think it's Cascade. Yeah, okay, here we go. There you can see the doubles that are spawning in. So it's giving us additional projectiles all the way through. So not only on the big fireball, but as well as the small fireball, it gives you additional fork. And that is just from the snake pit ring. So that is a major DPS upgrade right there. It forks, but it doesn't seem like we're losing damage from it, because it doesn't carry the same penalties that the jewel carries, which is really, really nice. So yeah, I think that is a good full-on display of what's happening and how the bolt works and how everything interacts. So just a quick summary of that: we are using fire bolts, we're converting that damage using gloves to cold damage. It doesn't gain anything from fire, so don't stack fire damage, just to pure cold damage. On top of that, we've got lightning damage from the Archmage Spirit Gem that we're making use of. It gives you a percentage of lightning damage per 100 mana or so on non-channeling skills. And then obviously this is our tankiness as well as overall build performance, using Ruthless 3 gear basically, because the majority of this gear is run about 60 to 64. So yeah, your most expensive item that you're going to be looking at is for the ring, but essentially all of these items that I've got here, you should be picking them up between 5 to 10 exalts a piece, maybe a little bit more for the wand, depending on how popular it becomes. You can focus on something. If you can't get all spell skill gems, then rather just focus on getting the fire spell skill gems, obviously. But all spell skill gems is better because you're using a multitude of different ones. So yeah, that's it. Thank you guys, appreciate it, and I hope you enjoy it. Check the build guide link down below. It is on Mobalytics, not Mobafire. It's Mobalytics, and give it a share. I hope you guys enjoy it. Do me a huge favor, please just make sure don't do too crazy with the build. We don't want to attract people to buy up the items for this and obviously make it super expensive. This is a starter build. It's supposed to be there for the people getting into the game with minimum investment. I think doing all 6 acts and getting into map, you should at least drop 1 to 2 divines. and a couple of exalts and most of the gear. Check your vendors every time you level up. You'll get most of the gear from them. Right. Thanks guys, appreciate it, and remember to leave a like, subscribe, and leave a comment down below. Thanks.